So we have picked up an interesting topic, that is hyperscale fatigue is prompting a shift to on-prem data center. So what does it mean? So the growing hyperscale fatigue driven by overcost control, security, and performance is prompting many organizations to reconsider and advantages of on-prem data centers. While hyperscalers offer undeniable advantages like scalability and agility, these concerns are prompting a shift towards a hybrid approach. Organizations are strategically utilizing both cloud and on-prem solutions based on their specific needs. There are a growing trend of organizations reevaluating on-prem data center due to hyperscale fatigue. Data security and compliance are paramount for some industries. On-prem gives organizations control over physical security, data access, and regulatory adherence. On this backdrop, I would like to understand from Santanu, do you think this is the fact and is the talk of the town that hyperscale fatigue is prompting shift to on-prem data center?
So firstly, Deepak, congratulations on the 22nd IT Forum. VARINDIA's IT Forum is growing in strength year over year. I've been here a couple of times and I can see the enthusiasm growing and the participants from across the ICT partners here. So congratulations to you and your team, Deepak. So thank you for inviting me into this talk. Taking up the topic on the hyperscaler fatigue, I think the two things are emerging very strongly. As businesses, large businesses have moved to cloud, they are realizing that there is a cost impact. It is no more a cost arbitrage, right? When the initial journey to the cloud happened, a lot of it was prompted by the CapEx coming down, right? But going forward, the OpEx is really growing fast as the scale of cloud operations increasing. So that's a fact which many large organizations are realizing. And if they do a cost-benefit analysis, they see that probably having it in on-prem or kind of distributing between the cloud will be much more cost-effective. That's one issue. But the major issue where the cloud still continues to be a very compelling solution is their ability to be agile, scale suddenly, and you can offload your service, you can launch your services very, very fast. So scalability, agility, and the spread across the world to start your branch operations or operations across the globe is something which the cloud is offering. Now, if we have to move to hybrid, we have to look at alternative technologies. And surely in the last couple of years, a lot of alternative technologies has arrived on the enterprise, which is truly making the enterprise cloud class. So I think while the fatigue is coming in, there are now options, serious options for the enterprise to look at moving some of their cloud loads back to the data center and maybe dividing the workloads between the two and making, at the same time, making the data center as agile and as scalable as the cloud.
So what is driving the fatigue with hyperscale cloud providers?
So as I said in my opening statement, it was more of the cost, but more than the cost, what happens is the flexibility in terms of wanting to do many things on your own is kind of compromised. You have to write a couple of pages of fill-up forms. You have to look at change management. A lot of us who have been managing large IT operations do not like it. I think it has a psychological impact and an ego impact as well, because you have to, for your own setup, you're now requesting for changes and signing up on that and going through some approval processes within your service provider. That's one part. Of course, as I said, the cost continues to rise and it's not cheap anymore.
So you are with MD Pensando. If you can shed some light, how do performance and latency issues in hyperscale environment influence this shift?
It's a very interesting phenomenon, and many of you would probably not know that when did the cloud, the hyperscalers really became very effective? When did the enterprise seriously started moving towards cloud? That was around 2015 when Amazon started giving you a service which was very agile, where the security, the storage part of it, the compute part of it were integrated in one stack, and they could give you service very fast. The background to that is Annapurna there was a company called Annapurna, who was a network company funded by an Israeli, started by an Indian. This was bought uh, by Amazon around 2014. And that they built a stack, which is a complete grounds up stack for the entire compute, storage, network, and security layer built in, right? And that's how that's how Amazon became very amazingly fast and scalable and differentiated itself against everybody else. Similarly, Google also did something like that in 2016. And they became the forerunners of the hyperscalers. The other hyperscalers who were trying to become really competitive and get the scales of Google or Amazon were Oracle, IBM, and of course Oracle, IBM was and Microsoft Azure. Problem is they never had a stack. They never had a stack which could integrate the security, the network, the compute layer, and the storage layer into one stack, right? And that's when John Chambers in 2017 moved out of Cisco, along with some of his best engineers and best managers, and he started a company called Pensando. What Pensando did is they brought out a chipset which is called DPUs. You've heard about CPUs, you've heard about GPUs, you know the impact the GPUs are making. Similarly, there are DPUs now which are completely field programmable. You can completely program it on the field. This is called data processing units. They make things amazingly fast. For instance, if you put a firewall, a normal firewall would induce a kind of a latency of 28 to 33 microseconds minimum. When you use DPUs in those firewalls, the latency comes down to 3 microseconds, a quantum jump, right? So Pensando was formed by John Chambers, funded by a couple of other companies, and Pensando brought out this concept called DPUs. With the DPU, they could write the complete stack and build the stack within the DPU to deliver super fast performance, and they went to Oracle, they went to Azure, and they went to IBM saying that, guys, you are not able to compete with Google and Amazon, but here we can make your stack ready. And all of them adopted Pensando. And that's Pensando's claim to fame. Pensando became the stack which was used by Oracle, Microsoft, Azure, and IBM to build their hyperscalers. So now, instead of 2 hyperscalers, you have 5 or 6 hyperscalers who are truly big, right? So, and the essence is because of the Pensando's DPU stack. Around 2022, AMD decided to buy this company called Pensando and build upon the DPU strategy, which is field programmable data processing units. With that, they have launched some wonderful products. One of the products that we have launched for the enterprise is a switch, where the switch itself, which sits on the top of a rack or called the top of the rack switch, we can integrate not only L2, L3 switching and the routing function, but we can do firewall service in that. It can deliver it can deliver netting services, load balancing services. It can do the IPsec services, and it can give you the complete telemetry engine. You no longer need to put probes and analyzers in your network to get telemetry data. You can get it directly from this switch, essentially because of the Pensando DPU technology. And again, I keep saying the DPU technology is field programmable, so you can change your firewall rules or any other IPsec rules on the fly and make it completely automated. So this particular aspect is now helping the large enterprises and the small enterprises too to get the performance levels and the scalability levels of a cloud.
Wonderful. How will organizations ensure their on-prem data center can scale efficiently to meet future demands?
I think a couple of things goes in there, right? I think when you're planning a large data center which has to compete with the cloud, firstly you need to do an efficient planning of power, right? Net zero is one area that you need to look at, right? Where every organization now has goals on ESG. So net zero, and there are various technologies on net zeros which are there. So adopt net zero. Secondly, look at how do we build the data center, right? How do you ensure the data center can scale without, again, restructuring the data center? So using digital twins to map your data center operations for the next 5 years and build the data center based on that is second most important thing. Thirdly, look at alternative technologies. Don't look at traditional technologies that we have been delivering. Look at technologies that Pensando AMD is bringing, where we are bringing the entire stack of security, network, and the storage layers together. where we have products which are launched by HP Aruba, which is called the Enterprise Switch CX10000, which integrates all this. There are network SuperNIC cards which are delivered by HPE and Dell to build this stack. So we have alternative technologies to do that. But most essentially, the data center will become very effective for you if you have a phenomenal telemetry engine. What is happening is the telemetry data can be harnessed from this technology and taken to your AI ML engines or your AI, basically any other SIEMs or tools where you can, on top of that, you can write your own chat GPT kind of instructions so that you have your own learnings deployed on top of your AI ML. And for this, you need efficient data, right? So the data can be fully pulled from these switches. And then importantly, what are the suggestions brought out by these AI ML engines? You can instantly drive it back to the switch so that those are implemented on the fly. This will make your data center fully automated like the cloud guys do without intervention. And it will be very agile in the sense that there are no security risks because you're kind of continuously mining for what are the risks there, right? Because you have a rich telemetry data which is being processed by the AI/ML engines, and those are being implemented on the fly on the switch on the firewall engines, right? So these are some of the technologies which is arriving on the data center. So the data center taken care of the traditional and the emerging technologies will really make you a hyperscaler scale and similar type of operations and efficiencies.
Thank you, Santanu. Do you think that finally this hyperscaler fatigue brings opportunity for the hardware companies to grow, like server storage?
Oh yes, certainly. A lot of my friends who are partners who are here in this room, one of the challenges in the early 2011 to 12, when I was running the cloud business for a large multinational company, was the question is what happens to us, right? Do we get compromised? But I think the cycle has gone full circle, and it is so emerging that many of these our partners can itself become service providers through basically everything as a service provider, whether it's infrastructure services, whether it's NAS, network as a service, where remote management as a service, all of it can transition into a service. Importantly, this also helping our partners to increase their margins on the business. I know for sure the hardware margins have been depleting year over year. There is wafer thin margins. Very difficult to sustain operations with that kind of margin. But with this concept of everything as a service, it's a new opportunity for partners to get back to the data center and be a service provider and improve the margins, improve the quality of service, but you are also going to make a social impact. The social impact, you can harness a lot of our people, the BTechs, the BCAs, the MCAs, into a kind of a master technicians and the master strategists who can then deliver quality services. So you'll also bring a social impact by employing more and more IT services people and generating more employment as well. So that's my thought, how partners can make an impact on the new opportunity of the back to data center concepts coming back.
Thank you, Santanu, for your sharing valuable inputs. And I'm sure that audience here and watching online, they must have the many takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepak. Once again, congratulations for the 22nd IT Forum.
Okay, here is a question, please.
Yes, HP GreenLake. Fortunately, I have worked for 25 years in HP, right? And I started the cloud business in India many years back. But yes, GreenLake is a fantastic construct, right? But GreenLake is a construct which is more commercial than technologically, right? It's a commercial construct where you have the right pricing models, right upgrade models, right downsizing models. So I think it's a wonderful fitment in terms of the commercial. But GreenLake is not a technology model, right? So for the technology, you have to very carefully select the technologies. I talked about certain technologies which itself sold by HP. The switch that I talked about is part of from their Aruba business, right? So there are alternative technologies which are arriving on the scene. So you have to mesh it together. What are the technologies that I will use and then use the GreenLake model of HP? I think it will be best of the both worlds.
Thank you. Thank you, Santanu. Thank you.